All right, good afternoon, everybody. Apologies for a little bit of a late start here. We're also not on Facebook. We had some technical difficulties, but you can still gather that information here at WNEM.com. Our TV5 weather news app. You can always, of course, get that push alert on your First Alert weather app as well, just like I had sent out. And also, you can catch us on Android and Fire Stick channels, and also Apple TV and Android TV. So we still have a lot of places that you can catch up with us, but it's definitely going to be a busy day here. So we are going to find that a lot of us are going to be kind of having to keep an eye to a busy day ahead. As I kind of get everything set up here, let's hop over to our live cam in Flint, where we do have that rainfall coming down currently. This is going to be something that we need to be watching for here as we go through the day. Kind of towards Genesee County has been some of the first locations where we have seen some of that rainfall coming in. So that's just something that we have to keep in mind, that the storm potential is now in that time frame that we are in. So we're just going to have to continue to kind of watch this as we go through. So we are going to continue to kind of keep an eye to the conditions as I kind of get set up here. Like I said, it's a little bit of a busy day, to say the least. You will find that we have, again, this live shot here in Flint, where we have the rainfall that's coming down, a current check of our pinpoint Doppler. You are going to find that we do have the rainfall, starting to see that coming in towards Genesee County, and we are going to also see that we have some of the heavier rain in Lapeer County as well. So we don't have any severe thunderstorm watches or warnings at this point. We did actually have a tornado warning in Macomb County earlier, but not here in mid-Michigan, and that cell seems to be staying off towards our south. As we zoom down here, this is what we've been working with, kind of this cluster of storms. So this has just been hanging off towards our south. I'm also kind of keeping an eye just to really what's happening here, because this is where we have a warm front that is coming through. So just kind of this whole area, our environment is a little bit better for storms. Where we had the tornado warning earlier, that was because we had a couple of cells that are merging, and with this warm front you tend to have some cells that can kind of come together and can cause that rotation to start. You will find that that line has continued to push eastward. We actually have a cluster of storms that's actually towards Canada currently, so we are going to continue to kind of watch this cluster as that comes through. We've been watching it closer towards I-69 and into Sanilac County. What's also catching my attention is this little cell that's been bubbling up right here just east of Lansing, through East Lansing, Okemos area. And so I kind of want to zoom in to kind of get us a better take, just because that's going to be headed towards Shiawassee County here shortly. So we want to keep an eye to anything that is able to kind of bubble up here along the warm front, because anything there can kind of take off. As you can see, this has been some pretty quick development. We also have that cell around Portland that's able to quickly to develop. Though these haven't been in mid-Michigan, you are going to find that we do have that potential very close to us. So this is just something that you don't want to kind of ignore here as we go through the day. We will also be seeing if any of these cells that are kind of further north and brewing here in southern Tuscola County, if any of those can get going. Right now the reflectivities don't look necessarily all that strong, but we are picking up some rainfall here closer towards Otisville, Vassar, and even just as you come in just east of 75, north of 475 as well. So again, no severe weather currently here in mid-Michigan, but with that warm front coming through, is just something to kind of keep in mind. We'll actually take a check of our temperatures to see if we notice a little bit of a difference. Of course, we're a little bit rain cooled now here in Flint and into Lapeer. We are still sitting at 74 in Saginaw, 72 in Owasso, 77 in Alma. So as we have some of that warmer air towards our west, closer to 127, that is going to kind of signal that we could have some of those cells that are firing. Those could take off, and then we'll be watching those as they get a little bit closer towards mid-Michigan. So today, on this Wednesday, we do have a first alert weather day, and we are going to have that storm potential from now until about 9-10 o'clock this evening. As the storms start to get going, we'll be watching the warm front that's working its way through now, and then a cold front that'll be coming in tonight, bringing us another round. Just because we have the two fronts that are coming in, we have the potential for us to be looking at all hazards that are connected to severe weather. So wind, hail, heavy rainfall, lightning, and even that isolated tornado chance is going to be on the table. Heavy rains is something that we've already seen in a lot of our thunderstorms. I know that I saw some water sitting in some of the grassy areas from the rainfall this morning. So keep in mind that we are going to pick up more rain. We have the humidity, so we're able to kind of pull all that moisture down in these thunderstorms. So that just kind of adds another factor to this. So with the rainfall coming in, we are kind of running out of time here to do any storm prep. So hopefully you brought in your patio furniture. I know some of the folks here in the newsroom said I already have them in place because I don't want to have a mess when I get home from work. So it's always kind of good, like last night, to kind of take care of things. But now we're just kind of doing the nowcasting and staying on top of it. The latest severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, not a lot of changes here. We actually didn't see a lot of changes even from overnight. So we do have a little bit of orange that creeps into Shiawassee County, but overall, a lot of us are still sitting in that slight risk, which is the yellow coloring, and then we do have the green. That's going to be our northern counties and into the thumb. So we'll be watching this as we go here into the evening. Just something to kind of keep in mind that our environment is still here to support some of these storms as they come through. I actually want to show you some of our storm ingredients. These are going to be the elements that we need. Moisture, we have that. You can feel the humidity. Lift, well, that would be in the form of our fronts. We have the warm front and the cold front coming in. And then also energy. So we do have some of that storm energy. We've been seeing more of that building in. We've been watching satellite. I also went and peeked outside the door. Noticed it's getting a little bit brighter here in the Saginaw area. So that kind of signals that that sun can come out and add a little more energy. We've also been seeing more of that towards Southwest Michigan as well. So we're kind of keeping an eye what's going to be headed our way and what locations to our west are already experiencing. And then that shear component, this is going to be that rotational key that is also sitting in the moderate. So we just kind of have everything that you need to get these storms going, and we'll be watching for those. So the latest time frame that we are looking at here is going to be about now till 5 o'clock. So this is going to be that first round. This is going to be associated with the warm front. We will have the severe storms that are possible. So this is going to kind of be the first batch that we have to watch for while a lot of us are here at work, or as we're going to be headed out of work. Then as we go into that dinner time frame, 6, 7 o'clock, and then through about bedtime, this is going to be the second round of storms. These are going to be associated with the cold front as it comes in. And then overnight, we do still have some rainfall that's going to be in place. But a lot of that rain is actually going to be steady and non-severe. So once that cold front passes, the severe threat will end. So a lot of that should be done as we're settling down in bed for the night. So we should have some easy sleeping, but you still can pick up on some of that heavy rainfall. So before we dive into the latest hour-by-hour forecast, we are going to take a real quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. First Alert Meteorologist Diane Phillips as we continue to keep an eye on our First Alert weather days. One of our latest model runs that we are going to be watching here is going to be, I brought up our short-term model because one of the models that we have in here, I wasn't really like how it was initializing. It wasn't really matching with what we have on radar. So I thought that this was a pretty close look to what we have. It still, though, isn't picking up on the storms that we have in Flint currently and in Lapeer counties. And it's also not picking up on that rainfall that we had in Detroit. But nonetheless, we're going to kind of continue on because it has overall the big picture or kind of the consistent picture across our models. So we will find that we still are going to have these pop-up showers and thunderstorms coming in. You can kind of see the cell that we were watching around Portland. It's trying to pick that up into Gratiot County in about 50 minutes from now because currently my clock says it's 2:10. Of course, there is a little bit of a delay with streaming. Just a reminder that we can have those delays in the streaming world. And then it continues to kind of flare some cells along that warm front, which we do anticipate that front to kind of be setting up north of I-69 as that continues to advance northward. So we will be watching the potential for some of those storms to come in. I am also hearing in the background some of our chats that are going on. So I do want to kind of keep an eye with our partners at the National Weather Service here. So pardon pardon the cell phone usage, but it is our best way to kind of stay on top of things. And here in the digital world, we want to make sure it's a little bit more relaxed, but we want to give you the latest information just because of what they have been seeing in parts of those areas. So it doesn't look like we have any new watches or warnings coming in, so that's some good information. But we're going to continue on here with the hour by hour. So we will be watching here as that warm front comes through any thunderstorms that can develop along that line. Then we have the cold front, as we had mentioned, kind of that 7 o'clock time frame. This is when it starts to near mid-Michigan, and it's going to be moving through. Now, this shows that it's a little bit broken as it comes in. If this line holds together and creates more of a bow, it necessarily could have more of a wind component rather than a rotation component. So if it can hold the line together as it advances forward, then straight line winds would be the concern. If it does come in a little bit broken and in pieces, that allows for a little bit more rotation and even some collisions, which can still keep that tornado threat. But really that tornado threat is going to be associated more with the warm front rather than the cold front. Either way, all severe weather hazards are going to remain on the table here for this event. Now this is going to continue to push north and east, and we will find that this is still going to be working its way through about 9, 10 o'clock tonight. But once that front itself passes, though we do have some wraparound rain on the backside, though there was some yellows, that's more for heavy rain. But by the time that cold front comes through, it's soaked up the environment to where we just don't really have a lot of those good ingredients for severe weather to take off. So it's really the time frame of now till about 9, 10 o'clock that we need to be watching for these fronts to move through and the thunderstorms that are going to be building along them. So as I had mentioned, all of our severe weather threats are going to be on the table. We are going to find that heavy rain already has been a concern. We've been seeing reports that some thunderstorms in some areas have been able to drop over an inch just in that thunderstorm, let alone any additional rain that we're able to pick up. So we are able to kind of catch up on some water here in these storms. Now, strong winds, those are also going to be a component for us. We could be seeing those at about 60 miles per hour or higher, which is going to be just as dangerous. That hail threat is also going to be there. It's not necessarily the front runner out of all of these that we have here on the list, but it is still something that is going to be possible within our storms, especially as that cold front comes through. Now, again, we are working with the warm front, so that's going to be where we have the tornado potential. That's where we allow for more spin, more rotation. So usually we kind of keep this in the green, but with this one, we did have to bump it up to the yellow. So that doesn't mean that it is necessarily going to be an outbreak day, but it is going to be a chance where we do have to keep in mind that those storms are going to be possible. So if you do live in a mobile or manufactured home, or you plan on being on the road here this afternoon or evening, know some places that you can pull off, some sturdy shelter locations that you can pull off and head indoors, because you want to put as many walls between you and the outside world during a tornado warning. Also, if you do live in a mobile or manufactured home, call your best friend up, call some family and say, hey, can I just hang out for the afternoon at your house just to be on the safe side, spend the evening with them, maybe bring dinner. I think that might allow them to invite you over, and then you can just kind of ride out the storms with family and friends before then you can head home to bed tonight and have some easier sleeping. So just some tips to kind of keep in mind as we are talking about tornado safety. I do just kind of want to remind you some of the places, because I know when you're in a panic, it's easy to forget what we need to do in these situations. Where do we go? What do we do? So if you are at home, no matter what your home layout is, the main goal is to put as many walls between you and the outside world. That's going to be what the goal is. So if you have a house and you have maybe a bathroom, a stairwell, a hallway, a closet, anything that's going to be towards the central portion of your home, that's going to be your zone where you want to go. If you maybe have a bathroom that's still on an outside wall, but you have a closet that's deeper into the house, even if that closet's full, I would pick the closet over that bathroom. That's going to be the option, because you want to have yourself as close to the center of your house and away from the outside world. Now, if you do have a basement, that would be ideal, because that can get you underground. And the biggest goal and the reason why we have you shelter is so that you can avoid any flying debris. That's typically the most dangerous part. It's not the actual motion of getting picked up. It's the flying debris that can be thrown around in a tornado. So that's why we tell you to head and get low so that you can avoid anything that's flying high above. So also, if you have a lot of walls between you, that can stop that debris from getting to you as well. So if you don't have a basement, though that is the best place, you do still have options in the most interior portion of your home. You do not want to be in the deck. That's not the place to be. We don't want you outside. If you do snap any photos, that's not the top priority. Getting to your safe spot is going to be the top priority. But if you do have any storm photos, you can share them with us. Here is that First Alert Weather app QR code. So if you go and scan that, there's going to be a section on the homepage that says submit your photos. And all you have to do is go in there. I believe it's a name, potentially where you were able to snap the picture, and then you just upload it, and then we are able to get a good look at some of the storm photos that you're able to share with us. So that's going to kind of be the best way that we can kind of gather those photos and see what's going on. Now, also we have the concern of some heavier rainfall that's going to be coming in with these storms. As I had mentioned, we've already seen some of these thunderstorms drop about an inch, if not more, in some spots. So we may have by Thursday morning 2 inches in some locations. So keep an eye to your rain gauge. If you need some rain, you'll be happy to see this one. If you don't need the rainfall, then you're not going to be happy with this forecast. But this is kind of our general look here, because when we're talking thunderstorms, it's hard for us to narrow down which community down to the mile of where these storms are going to be going. But we kind of have that general idea closer towards I-69. So Shiawassee, Genesee, Lapeer counties, even Sanilac County, that's kind of where we have the best ingredients, more thunderstorm development. And that's going to allow us to kind of stack up some of that water. So we may find our totals to be a little bit higher there. As far as that 3 inches in Flint, that might be a little bit on the strong side. So again, this is just a general guide, a broad picture for you to get an idea of what we could be seeing. You can see just even coming into the Tri-Cities, potentially closer to an inch, and some of that would kind of lead into the northern portions of the thumb. And then the further north you go, about less than an inch is what we can expect. Even Houghton Lake, you can see a pretty small amount. Our ingredients start to get a little bit lighter in our northern counties, so that means that thunderstorm chance is also going to be on the lighter side. So we are going to continue to watch our storms as they come through. I am going to take another quick break, and then we can kind of reset here, and then we can make sure that we have, again, another look at our radar coming up, and also we can keep an eye to the conditions that are going to be setting up here for the afternoon. So we're going to take a quick break and be right back. Good afternoon, First Alert Meteorologist Diane Phillips. As we continue our coverage on this First Alert Weather Day, we are going to have a look at our radar coming up. As we take a check of the conditions here, you'll still find that we have some showers that are coming in towards our south and east. So Lapeer County, Sanilac County, you're kind of receiving the bulk of the rainfall currently. We are still going to continue to watch the rain that we have brewing along the warm front. So that is going to be what we're watching for the afternoon, is the warm front, where that's setting up. So that's going to continue to advance northward. I'm watching just some of these showers that have been building here in northern Genesee County. And we also have some cells closer towards Portland, Ionia, and then even towards the Okemos area, just to see if any of those survive. I also want to just see kind of what happens because they're towards our west. That kind of gives us a little bit of an idea of the environment that could be closer towards Shiawassee and Gratiot counties. And you can even see more rain a little bit closer towards 131. So that is going to be headed into our northern counties. Nothing severe there. Again, our ingredients are not as strong there, but still, I want everybody to be weather aware today. Of course, if we have any watches or warnings come in, be keeping an eye to those. Our severe weather outlook, you will see that we do have in our northern counties in the thumb that marginal risk. So that's just kind of that level 1. So again, the ingredients are there, just not necessarily as strong. They begin to strengthen as we go into that yellow. You can see that into the Great Lakes Bay region, coming in towards the Vehicle City. And then we do have a little bit of orange into southern Shiawassee County, and then closer towards our south and west. So we are still watching to see the conditions that do come in associated with these storms. We'll run through the hour-by-hour forecast again because we are now in the time frame that we can have these storms. So this is where we want you keeping a close look to the conditions that we have. We will be watching for some of these pop-up showers as that warm front comes through, and thunderstorms are possible. And anything that can develop here can be pretty quick and hit severe levels very quickly. So this is something that you really don't kind of want to be wasting your time. Just kind of open casually your First Alert weather app and keep an eye to radar. Even as we go through about 4 or 5 o'clock, even towards 6 o'clock, that's when we're going to be transitioning from monitoring the warm front to the cold front, because that cold front's going to be coming in around 6, 7 o'clock. So that evening commute, dinner time, that's going to be our transition as the different fronts are going to be working their way through. So by 7 o'clock, you can see that that front is going to be setting up towards our south and west, and then that's going to start to move in. So here we are at 8 o'clock. We're going to be seeing that come in. It looks like here it could be in pieces, but if this line's able to hold together a little bit better, we can have some strong winds that are going to be pushing out ahead of it. And that's going to continue to push north and east. We'll watch that over towards Lake Huron. So that's still going to be around until about 9, 10 o'clock. Once that clears the area, you can see here after 10, though we do still have some rain, severe weather is not expected after that point. So we should have some pretty easy sleeping for tonight. I know it's a little bit unsettling to be going to bed knowing that there's severe weather. You want to go to bed, but you can't. So it looks like that threat, though, should be diminished by the time that you want to close your eyes tonight. So we will be watching, though, still for some rainfall into the morning. And although we've been talking a lot about the storm potential for today, I do still want to first alert you that we are yet tracking some hot air coming in for Sunday and Monday. And even through the weekend, Saturday is also looking warm too. But really Sunday and Monday are kind of the peak heat days that we have in this stretch coming in. Some heat indices that we're expecting could be around 95 degrees or higher. So if we do have those feels like temperatures around 95, we may need to issue those first alert weather days for Sunday and Monday. So that is a possibility for us. I know that seems like a lot, but I just want to give you that warning that we may need to do that just because of the heat indices. And you'll just want to avoid any heat-related illnesses. Don't let any of that heat sneak up on you. So stay hydrated. If you have plans to be outside Sunday and Monday, take some breaks inside, have that AC running, because we have some temperatures that are going to be closer to the 90s by then. As we look at your 7-day forecast, we will be looking at some 80s, and then we have that little bit of a cool down tomorrow as we go into Thursday. And for Juneteenth events, I am seeing that we do have some of that rainfall into the early morning. So if you have an early morning event, we are going to be watching for a little bit of rain, but the later we go into the day, so the afternoon events are going to be in a lot better shape. We see a little more of a drier trend. So keep an eye to those conditions. The timing of what we're working with today will really determine what we see on Thursday. So again, if you are going to some of those events, make sure you're checking in with us on air and online, and even here at our First Alert desk. We will continue to see some 90s as we go into the weekend and early next week. So keep in mind that we will have those conditions that are going to be a little bit on the hot side, to say the least, with those heat indices climbing. And then it looks like we do have some rain that tries to come in on day 7. So that's going to be bringing us a chance for some showers and thunderstorms. So we are going to continue to kind of watch here and see what we have going here, not only with the heat, but also with our current radar. Again, we don't currently have any watches or warnings here in mid-Michigan. And just kind of keeping an eye to the coverage of what we have. It doesn't look like any new information from the National Weather Service. So just kind of keeping an eye to the conditions that we have. As I had mentioned, we're still seeing some of that steadier rain here into Sanilac and Lapeer counties, some spotty showers through northern Genesee and then into Tuscola counties. And then we are watching for some pop-up showers towards our west. That would be closer towards Alma and Wasso areas. So we will be watching to see what develops here for the afternoon. Again, if you want to keep an eye to radar, here's the First Alert Weather app. This is going to be pretty helpful to keep you on top of the conditions as we go here through the day. So give that a scan. The app is free to use. And then, of course, if we do have any watches or warnings come in, you will get those alerted directly to your cell phone. Also, if you do have the alerts turned on through your phone, just through the settings, the wireless emergency alerts, if needed, would go off as well. That would be for tornado warnings only, as those are issued from the National Weather Service. So lots of tools that we have right at our fingertips. And of course, I anticipate that as we go throughout the day, we might need to be doing more digital coverage here. So We are going to be on our TV5 News app at WNEM.com. We'll also be on our YouTube pages. We'll also be on Roku, Fire Stick channels, Android, and Apple television. And we are typically on Facebook. Sadly, this afternoon we are not. I've been working behind the scenes here for some technical difficulties. So as I wrap this up, we're going to kind of get that fixed up so that we're ready to go here tonight. But busy day here in the weather department. Of course, we're going to have all hands on deck as the afternoon goes on. So make sure you turn to your First Alert weather team, as we'll have all the latest coverage of what you need as we go into the storm. So make sure you stay connected with us throughout the day, but of course, make sure you're being weather aware as we go into the afternoon.